Welcome to the Mask Off Podcast. I'm your host, Hawaii Mike, aka Dylan Salmon. Today, we got a guest, friend, a homie, a Brooklyn native, a rapper, an actor, host on Rock the Bells Radio, a podcaster, of course, a father, which is probably one of the more favorite titles, right?
Yeah.
You know
That's the number one.
Yeah, so you are?
My name is Torae. Torae Carr, Brooklyn, New York, Coney Island to be very specific. And like you said, Mike, I do a bunch of things. I wear a bunch of hats. They all engulfed and encompassed in entertainment space. It's my passion. It's what I always loved. I came into the building as a rapper, which evolved into a songwriter, which evolved into a radio host and a podcaster and an actor and all of that. And yes, in that time as well, I had unprotected sex, and I'm a father of two amazing children.
That's how that happens?
Yeah, usually.
Okay. And usually it's a Yankees hat, but today, you know.
We're not even gonna talk about it. We gotta act like
it's a New York hat.
It's a New York hat. It's a New York hat because I'm a New York guy.
So let's take it back to Coney Island. What did Coney Island look like? Early days, family life. What was it like for you?
Man, I came up in them good 90s. So, you know, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times. Man, growing up in Coney Island, so shout out to my mom, my hero, Carol Briggs. My mom raised me single parent. Rest in power to my dad, Thomas Carr. He passed away about to be 3 years. Later on in our life, we established a more solid relationship as I became an adult and understood all that adulthood encompassed, and especially as a father. And especially coming up in the time that my pops did, you know what I'm saying? Like, I learned a lot about Nam and everybody who came out of that and how they came out of that. And so I had a lot more grace, learned to have a lot more grace. But yeah, man, just growing up in CI, I had no big brothers, no big sisters.
Okay.
So I was my own big homie. That means I had to fight a lot and literally and figuratively, you know, kind of fight through. Because my neighborhood is very family oriented. So, like, if you had a problem with this person, you had a problem with their cousin, and their cousin, and their cousin. And so, it made me tough. You know what I'm saying? It made me tough mentally. It made me tough physically. But it was also just where everything that I love in life was cultivated from. You know, from fashion to music to style. Like I said, I grew up in them good 90s. So, like, what a lot of people consider to be the golden era of hip-hop is what birthed me. And so I always say that I'm fortunate to have never wanted to do anything else, so that I was so laser focused on my goal of being an entertainer and being in this business and in this space. So I didn't have a lot of detours on my road. You know what I'm saying? I may have chosen various routes, but it always was the same destination. You know what I'm saying? And so yeah, man, Coney Island made me, it built me, it designed me, it birthed me.
What age were you when you started to like focus on that, get that laser focus on being an entertainer?
Since I was a kid. Since I was in elementary school, I wanted to be a rapper.
So what video did you see, or who'd you see perform? What was it that was like? I want to be them.
All praises due to God. No, man, Ralph McDaniels. I give Ralph so much credit because like we was in the hood, so we didn't have cable. You couldn't even get cable. It wasn't even that we was too poor for cable. They didn't even have cables in the buildings. You know what I'm saying? So like,
yeah, kids, y'all hear that?
Yeah,
there was no internet.
There was no internet. Rest in power to my brother Reggie Ose. It was internet. There was no internet. But we didn't have cable either. So like all we had was Video Music Box. So I saw Slick Rick, I saw EPMD, I saw Eric B. and Rakim, you know, and then like I said, when I got of age, like once the 90s rolled around, I saw Wu-Tang and I saw Boot Camp Click and I saw, you know, even I was influenced by West Coast artists, you know what I'm saying? NWA and when Cube went solo and DJ Quick and, you know what I'm saying? Like just the amazing music. I was like, yo, I don't want to do anything else. I don't even want to fake it. I don't want to flinch at it. I don't want to do nothing else but that.
Okay. So it wasn't sports, nothing ever. You play sports?
So I grew up in Coney Island, and you know sports.
Yeah.
I am from like if New York is the mecca of basketball, Coney Island is the mecca of the mecca.
Yep.
You know, we had 7 guys go to the NBA. You know what I'm saying? 7 and counting. To go to the NBA, you know what I'm saying? And so I knew very early on that I'm gonna do halftime performance. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not gonna be able to start a lot of the bench. No, I had my passion, I had my calling. You know what I'm saying? Like music, like tapped me on the shoulder, like this is what you do. So, I played sports. Obviously, you in the hood, you
Yep.
played PAL and you played two-hand touch and, you played football and you hoop. But, like, I had friends that were really, really good at basketball. And then we saw the guys that were really great at basketball early on. Like, me and Steph the same age. So, like, if you go into the center, you see Stephon Marbury hit fucking 30 jump shots from half court without taking off his, like, jacket, it's different. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, he's like, oh, no, he's special.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm going to do my thing.
And so y'all was cool from young age? Or
No, I wouldn't say cool, but, obviously, he was making a name for himself and, being a top high school player. So he was somebody that I knew. We was aware of each other, but we went to different high schools.
Oh, okay.
And also, he was very, like, he had a lot of notoriety. And he was very sought after very early on. So, like, while I was still, like, figuring shit out, he was already in the newspaper every day and shit like that. So, Steph and I, different paths, but it's so crazy how we come together. Like, you see us talking and building. I just texted him the other day. He took his road, I took my road, but we from the same place. So, that foundation, like, we understand that early start. So, we have that. You know what I'm saying? We always got that.
The school, how did school go? What was school like for you? You seem like you was a good student or chose not. Which one was it?
This guy's good. I was one of those students that understood that I could get by doing the bare minimum. And so that's what I did. Because it wasn't, I used to think that I didn't need schooling to do what I wanted to do. You know what I'm saying? I learned later on in life that education is education, and information is information. The more you have, the better armed you are to do whatever you want to do. But I just like kind of skated by in school. I had enough intelligence to pass the test when I needed to, even if I didn't attend all my classes. And if I was missing too many classes, I knew how to turn the charm on to my teachers, right? So I just made it work for me. But I did something that was interesting, and I don't even know if they still have this in schools, but I was in the co-op program. You familiar with co-op?
Nah, I'm from Cali, so school me.
Some people don't know.
School me on school.
So the co-op thing was you worked 1 week and you went to school 1 week. And so, but you had to be a good student to get into the co-op program because they didn't want a bunch of riffraff in there. Yep. So again, I turned the charm on. I go speak to Miss Combs, and she's like, Torae, you don't got the grades, you don't got the attendance to get in, but something about you, I'm gonna let you in. Because I was kind of bored with school, and so I was like, if I get into co-op, then I can make money, right? When I get tired of being in class, I'll be working that following week. When I get tired of listening to my boss, I'll be back in school. So it was a perfect storm of me being able to step away from one thing, do something I was interested in, and then step away from that and do something that I needed to do, and kind of, so that's how I ended out my high school career in the co-op program, where I excelled and got a bunch of great grades. And from there, when I graduated high school, the job that I was working at co-op, which was Independent Savings Bank, hired me right out of high school. So I was a kid, 18, making, I don't know, $20,000 a year. So it was a bunch of money to me back then.
Oh yeah,
right?
back then, yeah.
With no kids, I still live at home, and my only vice, I don't smoke, I don't drink. All I do is buy fitted hats and sneakers. So I was in heaven.
That's dope. I was gonna ask what job you had. So banking. All right. So you go with numbers.
So I worked in the records department. So this is before the internet. Microfilm, microfiche. That's where they kept.
Y'all don't know what those are, kids.
Understand what I'm telling you, little nicknos.
Yeah, y'all don't understand that one. Microfiche.
The records. That's how they kept the records, right? So deposit, withdrawal slips, all of that was kept on this microfilm that you would like literally photograph, and you can fit a bunch of different transactions, a bunch of different accounts into like one slide or whatever. So I would just move those things around from branch to branch. When I graduated, that's what I did when I was in co-op. When I graduated, I worked in the records department. Went from like a records clerk to assistant manager to like started to excel in the ranks. But remember, I already know what I want to do with my life. Yeah. So this is just a means to an end. This is just studio time, and this is just buying outfits so I look good when I show up, shit like that. Because everything that I was doing was geared towards being an artist. So even my paycheck, I would invest in myself. We did vinyl. I got professional photos taken for my headshots and all that shit. Every job I had was only to finance my career.
Okay, so when did you start recording?
I started recording at a different job. I used to work at McDonald's in Coney Island.
Oh, so even before you got into...
So before, right, because that's when I was in high school.
Yeah.
That was my last year of high school co-op, but probably 2 years prior to that, maybe like my junior year, I started working at McDonald's. And I met my first producer, my man AS1, Sylvan Sargent. One morning, this guy in his blue Benz, I got my headphones on, I'm like cleaning outside or whatever. Yo, come here. He was like, yo, every time I come here, every week, he would come in every Sunday with his mom and buy a breakfast. He was like, y'all come in every week and I see you, you got your music on, you in the zone and you working hard. And he was like, you the type of person I want to work at my company. I just see you like locked in. And I was like, what's your company? He's like, oh, I'm a producer. I was like, what kind of producer? He's like, I make records. I was like, oh, well, I want to make records. And from there, I met my first producer.
Oh, dope.
He produced my real first demo. He produced it and kind of taught me how to make songs. But my first official job, like after summer youth, was working at McDonald's.
And so McDonald's was the plug.
McDonald's was the plug, and still. Yeah, shout out to my brother Sil. We still in touch. You know, I recently unearthed a bunch of those old demos.
That's what I was about to ask.
Yeah, I found some 90s demos. I was like, it's so crazy to listen to the growth in the music, and also to hear the influence. Like to hear who I was influenced by then, and how before I found my own voice, I was just making songs. And that's what you gotta do. You gotta go through like the growing pains of figuring the shit out. And I was sounding so boot camp in some of those demos, you know what I'm saying? Like you could hear how influenced I was until I developed my own voice, literally, figuratively, my own voice and who I am and what my story is.
When did that confidence and really knowing who Torae as a rapper, as an artist, kind of fall into place? Was there a song, a show, something you remember?
I remember, like, when I got the DJ Premier stamp of approval. Well, shit, even before that, honestly. I'll tell you a few things. When Preem came out to the show, I was in a group at this point called A Coalescence. Shout out to Wally Suede, shout out to Vega Benetton, shout out to Kill Ripken, myself, 2 producers, 2 MCs. One of our producers also doubled as our DJ. So we were a 4-man collective, and we had mutual friends, one of which was DJ Premier. So Preem came out to the show off the strength of the union and took a liking to me. Like, yo, he's crazy, his energy on stage, he leave it all out there, da-da-da-da. This is how Click and Get It Done, like that was like the beginning parts of those 2 songs happening. But before that, the late great Clark Kent, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you're from Brooklyn and you rap, at some point you meeting Clark. You gotta, that's the rite of passage. You gotta go through them doors. He gotta yay or nay you. And shout out to my man Speedy. Speedy was a guy who was getting to it, and he was like, "Yo, I'm gonna take you to Clark Kent." We had the same barber. He was like, "Yo, I'm gonna take you to Clark Kent." And obviously, I was one of those people. I knew who Clark Kent was, but I was one of those people that I read liner notes. You know what I'm saying? Like when I bought the cassette, the music was important, but equally as important was the liner notes. I want to know who did what, who produced it, where it was at. So I was very familiar with who Clark Kent was, and he was like, "I'm gonna bring you to Clark Kent, and you're gonna have to rap for your life." And that's what I did. And so Clark saying, yeah, he said, I remember this like to this day. He was like, "Speedy, you got one." He's like, "You got a horse, Speedy, you got one." And from there, you know, Clark took me under his wing and really showed me how to make records, and we did demos and shit like that. After I did the stuff with Sylvan, Clark taught me how to professionally make songs and go to a big studio and shit like that. So like the Clark Kent cosign, if you will, and then DJ Premier like coming to the show and saying, "Yeah, I want to work with him." It's like, oh, maybe I'm all right.
It's not too bad.
Yeah, decent.
That's
decent for a Coney Island kid.
I mean, Clark isn't easy to impress.
At all.
At all.
At all.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He doesn't want to be impressed, actually.
The craziest shit was, and I remember recently thinking about this. I thought it was a coincidence that another guy came with an artist at the same time that Speedy was bringing me to Clark. Now I know that he was like, "Oh, you got somebody? You got somebody? Bring them together." And we went rhyme for rhyme for rhyme for rhyme for rhyme. And I don't remember who the artist was, no disrespect.
Damn.
But I just remember that I was like, I can't run out of rhymes. I gotta keep rapping. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't even about who was saying the best shit. It was like, you just gotta keep going. You gotta keep rhyming and really like showing that you're serious about this shit. And like I remember that moment, like rapping for my life. You know what I'm saying? Because I was like, this could change my life.
Yeah.
So I gotta go crazy.
Yeah. I mean, what gave you that confidence, though? Because you've always had, like, a certain bravado, a certain, like, you walk in a room or you on stage, just like you said, Preem said, right? Like, you have a certain, was that always in you?
Nah. Nah, I don't know where that comes from, honestly. I think that the more prepared you are for something, the more confident you are, just because you've done it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you stay ready, you don't got to get ready. So I rapped at every BCAT, Flex in Brooklyn, talent show, open mic, like any place there was an opportunity for me to rhyme. Once I decided I was going to rap for people, I would rap any and everywhere. And so you build up your confidence like that, right? With your 10,000 hours and your reps. And also being in Coney Island, no pun, I was on an island, right? And so I didn't really know what was happening in Bed-Stuy. I didn't really know what's happening in Brownsville. I didn't really know what's happening across town. So I'm thinking I'm just the nicest. I'm like, this ain't really rapping like this. I'm dead nice, right? And so I had that confidence of not having any outside influence to see what everybody else was doing. And then once I started moving around, I was like, oh, other people get busy too. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm still dead nice. But by that point, I was already so confident in my skill set, like nothing would shake me. You know what I'm saying? I was unflappable.
And how old were you when this Clark thing happened?
Whew, I gotta do some math. Maybe, if I estimate 16.
Oh, you was that young.
16, 17?
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what was the first thing you put out?
Like in real life, or
Yeah.
like the first thing I put out?
Nah, the first thing that in real life. Like, you know, obviously you do a couple things that gets around the neighborhood, but we started pressing your own vinyl, you said?
Right.
And what even got you to pressing your own vinyl?
Because in order to get your record played, you had to have a record. In order to get your record played, you had to have a piece of vinyl. So I remember maxing out my credit card, whatever my limit was, $2,500, $2,000, maybe $200, who knows. I maxed out my credit card with disc makers, right?
Yeah.
Disc makers, and they pressed the vinyl, and it was so crazy because the song wasn't the highest of quality. Like, we recorded in the bedroom, but I took that bedroom recording, and that's what we pressed to vinyl. But I was like, all right, so I got vinyl, so now all I gotta do is just run around to the DJ. So I'm gonna go see DJ Enough, and I'm gonna go see DJ Clips, and I'm gonna go see DJ Red Alert, and I'm gonna go see Stretch, and I'm gonna see Riz, and I'm giving everybody my vinyl. They're gonna hear it, they're gonna love it, they're gonna play it, and I'm gonna go platinum. Like, it was very, very simple. Very
easy,
simple
right?
plan. Easy peasy, Mike. But yeah, that's what made me decide to press the vinyl. It's like, how people gonna hear you if you don't have a record? You know what I'm saying? This is even before CDs.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So but that's why I'm asking, because that's not like, you know.
Right.
I come from Cali, but everybody was pressing their shit up.
Right,
like,
exactly.
It was nothing. But out here, it was like, everybody's trying to get signed.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted the
You're trying
deal.
to get a
They was
deal.
standing outside of the labels. Oh, here, can you listen to my demo? But that's why I was curious, because once you start pressing your own thing, that's a lot of confidence.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
you know, because like a lot of us started with white label, you know, like a white label recording. So even if your goal was to get a deal, you knew you had to invest something into it, because a lot of people had an end to the business. You know what I'm saying? Whereas again, in Coney Island, there was no real connection to the music industry. You know what I'm saying? And so I was like, if I'm gonna do music, I'm gonna have to figure it out, and I'm gonna have to make my own way. I'm gonna have to make my own connections. And I felt like having vinyl and just being able to, I think that gives you a leg up. Like, oh, you got a record? I'm gonna play it just off the strength that you have a record. You know what I'm saying? Oh, you invested enough, you take this serious enough to have a piece of vinyl. I know you spent some money on this, so I have to assume that you spending time on your craft in other ways as well.
Yeah, and you did your knowledge.
Gotta do
You
the
understood
knowledge.
what you was doing to get to that point. So
Yeah.
how'd you get to all the DJs? They already knew you by then?
Nah, I was just like, that's how you make your relationships. You make your way. You go to the club. I used to stand outside of Hot 97 all the time. Angie Martinez would announce who her guest was going to be either for the week or the following day.
Yep.
And so even when I was working at the bank, I'd be listening, you know, on my desk, I'd be listening to Hot 97, and Angie be like, oh, tomorrow I got Jay-Z's in the building. You know, this is before like you had to do the shit real stealth and go to the off-site and all that stuff. She said Jay-Z's gonna be in the building. You knew at 4 o'clock he was gonna be in the air. 3:30 he'd be walking in the building. So I was in the building 3:20. This is also before they shot the shit up. So I was able to get in the building, go upstairs, do my elevator pitch on the elevator. Like, you gotta have that confidence. I guess I did have confidence in that, right?
Yeah.
I would walk in the building like I was supposed to be there with my baggy jersey on and my chain and my unfitted fitted. I look like, oh, don't stop him. He's supposed to be here. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I was financing my career, but I knew that going to the studio was one part of it, but also showing up not dusty, not with a bunch of people, not, you know what I'm saying? Like I showed up and looked like, oh, this guy must be somebody. You know what I'm saying? So nobody stopped. How many times I walked in Hot 97, right through the gate, walked to the elevator and went upstairs and was like, whew. When I got upstairs, rap for Timberland and Magoo and Missy and Hove and Dame and yeah, I used to really be on it.
Yeah, but I'm saying like that takes a lot of like one, confidence, but two, understanding how to move. Yeah. Right? Most cats would be there with, oh, I don't want to go by myself. Right. Yo, pull up with 3-4 people, try to all get in, right? But you walking in, like you said, I'm supposed to be here. Yeah. Right? With presence. But that helps open the doors, right? Sure. And that's not something that's easily learned. So that's why I was asking you the question, like, you know what I'm saying? Where did you get that? Was it somebody? Was it anybody else in your life? You just figured that shit out.
I did a lot of figuring. I did a lot of figuring. You know, always had a good understanding of how things could work. You know what I'm saying? I won't say should work or will work, but I understand how they could work if you did it. And I think I'm a pretty knowledgeable, you know, individual with just enough know-how to kind of work a room. You know what I'm saying? And so it worked for me.
What was the first like mixtape or radio show you got on? You was like, oh shit, Mom.
My brother DJ Self, who's still my guy to this day. DJ Self DJ'd my high school prom. DJ'd my high school prom. That 112 was at, by the way. 112 was at my high school prom. They went with 4 girls from my high school.
They were just randomly there with 4 girls?
I don't know how
did they like perform too?
No, they perform. Oh. Well, we made them perform. Like my guys made them sing and rap. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, y'all niggas can't be here and not do something. But they weren't there as performers. They was there as dates. I went to John Dewey High School, baddest chicks in the whole New York City. Fight your mother. But I met Self. He DJ'd, and I knew his name. He was obviously still coming up in the ranks or whatever. But I knew enough of his name to know, like, okay, this is a DJ that I could, have a relationship with. He on the grind, I'm on the grind. So met Self, built with Self. He was like, yo, I'm spinning at this club. I went to the club. Ended up bringing him music, and he would put me, last song, probably cut off like after 4 or 8 bars, but put me on my first mixtape. And then the first time really being on the radio was, if I'm not mistaken, was with Dipset. It was with Cam and them. I remember being on the halftime show with DJ Eclipse, but I think WNYU, but I think that rapping with Cam and Jewel's Dipset was the first time I was on the radio. Yeah, I'm 100% sure. It was a college radio. Okay. It was a college radio station. So, I don't know, my story is kind of weird. It bounces around. But I ended up running with Cam and Jim and them for years, like 4 or 5 years. That was really like my real entry into the music business. And that happened because, I don't want to leave names out, but I don't want to make the story OD long. So, my man Ron Cromer from my hood was a model, and he would do shows all over the city, runway shit, whatever the case may be. And I would hang out with him. I would go with him. I would, kind of find my way through the building in the industry in that world, because music and fashion go hand in hand. Yep. To shorten the long story, I ended up signing with his manager. His manager, though, was a model manager. He managed a bunch of modeling talent. He didn't manage any artists. My mindset was like, well, you do a bunch of fashion shows, you do a bunch of this. If nothing more, I could perform at all this shit. And if you got Sean John and Puff is gonna be there, right? Like, he'll see me, you know what I'm saying? Or if it's gonna be Rockaware, they'll see me. So I ended up working with this manager, Chanel International, and he would send all his talent out on video shoots. Like, they would book videos or whatever. Anyway, he would always try to get me to do stuff. Yo, you gotta look, I was in tip-top shape back then. You gotta look, you should be in video, you should be on TV, da-da-da. I was like, yeah, I wanna do that, but I gotta get through the music first. Long story short, he's like, he has a casting for a Cameron video. I'm a big Cam fan at this point. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do that. I end up booking the video. I booked the video, and on the video set, I get attacked by one of the neighborhood dogs. So I have to go to the hospital. They got to stop the video. I got to go get tetanus shots. But that unfortunate incident made Cam and everybody have to come and see like what happened. And so they was like, yo, you want to miss the rest of the video shoot, but we shooting again tomorrow. Take my number and pull up on us tomorrow. And that tomorrow turned into like 4 years of me running with Dipset. Yeah.
Serendipity.
Very serendipitous.
Man, the dog. So it wasn't that bad then.
Nah, I wasn't. I didn't even get bit. I had the baggiest pants on in the world. So the tooth like kind of scratched my leg, but I didn't get like fully bit. Like he just like bit at my pants.
So the dog was real pivotal in your career.
The dog was my dog.
That was,
you know what I'm saying? Like my dog.
That dog was the plug again.
Yeah, the dog with the plug again.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So then what'd you end up doing with Cam and Dipset?
So this is when Cam was in between albums, and again, as an outsider, you don't really understand the mechanics of what's happening in the business, but he had already had the first album out, Confessions of Fire. He's in the process of making SDE and promoting that. By this time, he has Jewels coming along. Jim is developing as a rapper as well. But Cam is still kind of like finding his footing in this shit too. So I was just running with them. I was traveling. I had a car.
You ended up becoming the road manager?
Nah, I wasn't the road manager. Okay. I was a rapper. I was rapping.
Okay.
But I was just running. I was just running around. So like, if we was doing radio, I was there. If it was in Connecticut or wherever, we traveled, tri-state area, shit like that, up to the north, and I was just moving around. I was moving around with them. So anytime they was on the radio, most of the times I was there. They open up the mic, everybody rapping, I'm rapping. We doing shows, I'm there, I'm doing shows. I got my Dipset jersey, and you know what I'm saying? Like, so yeah, it was.
So how come you never signed with them?
I have no idea. There really is no answer. I think that at some point I realized there was a pecking order, and I realized like Cam was still getting his shit together, and then Jewels was where his main focus was, and then Jim was developing. You know what I'm saying? And so I was just like, I always wanted to be my own man, you know what I'm saying? And as much as I enjoyed my time with them and learned so much from them, it was like, I want my own shit, you know what I'm saying? Like I want to be the number one guy, you know what I'm saying? And so I took all of the information that I learned and relationships that I built from there. Like we still cool to this day. I saw Jim last week. Like that's my guy. Jim, where my chain at? You know what I'm saying? Like, and anytime I see them, it's all love. We literally, we had some war stories, you know what I'm saying? Like we really, so they know like they see Torae, they like Torae a real one. He slugged it out with us. It might have been various guns in my car.
Probably literally and figuratively slugged it out.
It was a lot. It was a lot, you know what I'm saying? And so, but I'm so grateful for all of those moments. Like all of it is building.
But you sound like a student of everything, like constant learning.
Always, every day you gotta learn something.
And then the discipline. Where's the discipline come from? Because I feel like was he always that way? I know now you seem a lot more disciplined, or very disciplined. I'm not gonna say more.
Yeah,
I wasn't around. But is it always that way, or?
I think that's innate. I believe it's innate. I just like to challenge myself. You know what I'm saying? Like I think the hardest person to say no to is yourself. And so I like to challenge myself, whether it be in my diet, whether it be in my workout regimen, whether it be in my intermittent fasting. It's like the only thing to stop you from doing this is you not doing it. And so once you understand that it's all mental, you can take yourself to another level. So for me, it's like, I know I could do it. You know what I'm saying? And if I tell myself I can't do it, it's because I'm telling myself I can't do it. But if I tell myself I can, guess what? Sky's the limit.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah, for sure.
You'll make it. So what happens after Dipset? What's next? Well, not even Dipset. I wasn't even really Dipset yet.
Yeah, right. My story is
just them.
It's just right. They were the Diplomats, right? They were just barely the Diplomats. From Diplomats, that's when I really started working with Clark. Okay. And there was a studio in Brooklyn, Bruckdown Studios, if I remember the name, and I started working with Clark. And really learning how to make records. The dope thing about when I worked with Clark was he inspired us in a different way. He would have a beat, and he would give it to me, and he would give it to Curtains, and he would give it to Joel Marquis, and he would give it, whoever made the best song got the song, you know what I'm saying? And so like, that was like iron sharpens iron type shit, right? Because Curtains is dead nice, and still dead nice. Joel dead nice. He had Sandman. He was working on the Sandman album. I think Sandman was signing like Interscope or something. So I would go to the studio with him and see him tracking and doing shit with Sandman, and then we go back to Brooklyn, and he'd be like, all right, what you got for this? You know what I'm saying? And rest in power to Toy, who passed away some years ago. I got to work with Toy and Clark. Clark really taught me how to. That was like survival of the fittest. You know what I'm saying? Because like I think I got the dopest record, but maybe maybe I approached it on some cool shit, and I'm like trying to be cool, and Curtains might have approached it on some super bar-y shit. And he like, nah, that's the one. And I'm like, wait, this is my record. That made me, you know what I'm saying? Like, understand, like, every moment make it your moment. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't be too cool or, like, really, like, again, rap for your fucking life. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, working with Clark really developed me into the more polished artist that you see before you. Because it was boot camp. You know what I'm saying? It was no holds barred, and it wasn't no easy shit. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't no easy shit. Like, you had to work for every opportunity that he was gonna allow you to have. You had to earn it.
I mean, it was competitive. He didn't make anything easy for anyone, especially on the rapping shit.
For sure.
Because he you know, it's gotta be fresh.
It's like all of the shit. And even if I approached it the freshest, you know what I'm saying? But he said the better shit. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, he'd give it to you, he'd give it to you like that. And he'd tell, like, and you had to respect it. You had to respect it. Like, it's like, oh, this is stylistic and this sounds good, but this is believable. Yeah. I believe every word he's saying. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh shit, like, it made me better. It made me understand, like, yeah, this shit gotta be for real, for real. All that rapping and I hopped out the bench. It sound cool. You just got off the bus though. So I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So like all them aspirational raps, that shit didn't really cut it. And if you did do it, you had to say it so fucking fly that even if he saw you get off the bus, he had to believe it was the Benz. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Shit like that. And so that helped me really like understand how to captivate your listener. And how to captivate your listener, you captivate the audience. You know what I'm saying? And so it took me real far.
What did you guys put out?
We never put records out. Right? Nope. I did, like, he taught me how to make records. It was school. I did all my, it was school. It was college. All my demos, you know what I'm saying? Like, how to write a hook, how to write a better hook, what's the top line, what's the bridge, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mentioned Torae because Torae was a vocalist, singer. So she taught me how to implement melodies into my music making, which makes me a better songwriter. Like, now as I write songs for other people, I understand like the song making aspect of it. Whereas before, I just knew how to write rhymes. Yeah. And so, you know, yeah, all of that like fucking rap college, if you will, just kind of was more development shit.
I mean, shit, who better to go to school with than Clark, you know? Because he's gonna push you. And Curtains was nasty, still is, if he wants to be.
If he decided to go to the booth right now, he'd spit some shit. Yeah. Shout out to Curtains.
Yeah, Curtains is my guy. I met Curtains way later, but yeah.
Word.
I met him on the fashion side, so I know him on that side. Right. I know him from as hearing his music, but I didn't know him in that moment.
No, like the first day, like, cause I was already moving with Clark at that point. Like I was probably some years in. And when Curtains came around and they pressed play on that Curtains shit, I said, oh, I got a problem. He's like that. You know what I'm saying? But it was the same thing with Jewels. Like, I was running with Cam and Jewels was already in the mix. When Jewels really started developing, I was like, oh, he's like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, you got to get busy too. You know what I'm saying? And so like that shit, like, this shit is a sport, but it's sink or swim. So you're going to succumb to the fact that you think he's dead nice, or you're going to try to tear his fucking head off?
I mean, Clark always played it as a sport. Every DJ, even his peoples, he's like, bro, I love you.
Yeah, I'm about to kill you.
I'm about to kill you, my guy.
And then I'm gonna hug you afterwards.
Yeah, I'm gonna hug you. We're gonna be good. We're gonna laugh. We're gonna smile. But you're not even. They're gonna remember me.
Yeah, he's the ultimate showman. So he taught me that. You know what I'm saying? And I think I took a lot of that into when I started to perform on stage. You know what I'm saying? It was like to understand the showmanship of it too.
What's one of your favorite shows after that? Like, was there a moment where you was like, this is it?
You know, it was an ill show for me. Shout out to Master Ace, shout out to Marco Polo, shout out to Mosh, shout out to Addict, and the whole EMC. First tour I ever went on was with Master Ace. Marco Polo was doing the beat set on the Master Ace tour. And Marco, if you know Marco, well, he talked too much now, but he didn't talk a lot back then. And so Marco asked me to come MC the beat set. It was Marco, Mr. Addict, and Moss from Canada. And I was the MC, and he was like, you know, we'll play beats and you'll rhyme and you'll kind of host the shit. So that was like my first real anything I did on the road. And that was all courtesy of Master Ace bringing us out as the opening for that tour. But I remember after that very first tour in Canada, we went to Europe. And by that time, Marco and I had records together. And so I was performing. And I don't remember exactly where we were at. I want to say we were in Germany somewhere. And I go and I do my whatever 6-minute set, 7-minute set. And I'm doing like the records that I've got out or that I made videos for, like my popular, quote unquote, popular records. And I remember at the end of the show, this very intoxicated German man was like, "You did not do Tailor-Made." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "Tailor-Made, I love Tailor-Made." It's a song I did for my daughter, which was like one of the last songs on the Daily Conversation project. And I was like, oh shit, this record that I wrote in the projects in Coney Island that I made about my daughter, that's just a very personal record to me, resonated all of these thousands of miles away with this person who barely speaks my language, but felt the love and the passion in that song. And I was like, wow, the power of music is crazy. But I remember that show, like, I don't remember what songs I performed or what I wore, and then I remember bro coming up to me afterwards and just being very laser focused on the fact that I didn't do his favorite song that I never thought he would have heard. You know what I'm saying? So like that shit is like magical.
I mean, but that's the thing where music touches us, right? It's not always about that feeling you get, right? It's like, oh man, somebody knows my experience. Somebody relates to what I did.
All that shit is life. Like I take it all as all life lessons. Like even funny enough, even with that experience on my 2016 album entitled, I got a song on there called Coney Island's Finest. Coney Island's Finest is a super personal song. I did it. I was inspired to do it and make it about my hood and name names of people from my neighborhood and talk about how they inspired me. But it was such a personal Coney Island record. It was so on the nose. It was so direct. I was like, I don't know if this record is going to resonate if it's a record that you put on your album that at this point I got supporters worldwide and shit like that. I'm like, is everybody going to get this song? Is it going to mean what it means to me to them? Or is it something I just made for myself? I ended up putting it on a project because I just loved it that much. And people talk about that song and love that, not just the Coney Island people. It's so crazy to me. It's like, my hood is they hood. You know what I'm saying? Like, the people that inspired me from my neighborhood is the same type of people that inspired them from their neighborhood. And so, like, that story, the location changes and the names change, but the story is the same. And that was just another lesson in, like, how music is, like, we get a chance to tell our stories and connect with one another on every part of the planet. You know what I'm saying? Like, the music is universal.
Yeah, I always say there's a formula, right, to it. This is who we are, this is where we're from, this is what we do, and this is why we're fly. And that's kind of like how hip hop to me grew, because it resonates with all of us, right? We all have it. We might sound a little different, we might talk a little different, walk a little different, look a little different, but we're all saying the same things from our perspective. Just like we were talking about before, right? Our truth. Right? Our truth, but there's a lot of similarity.
Absolutely. I said we all live the same life, you know what I'm saying? Like, even when I had never traveled, I'd never been to the West Coast, but I would listen to NWA so intently, and I wanted to know about the swap meet, and I wanted to know about Slauson, and I wanted to know about Crenshaw, and I wanted their experience with the cops, and I was like, oh, they shit is just like our shit, it's just sunnier. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, you know what I mean? Like, but it was, like those things. Also, great music is great music, but those stories, man,
I just think with rap in particular, though, we have that kind of connection way more than any other genre of music.
Right. You know, you're a music fan. I'm a music fan. Like, sure. I love good music, but rap for sure. Like, because even if I didn't live that experience, I understood that experience. You know what I'm saying? Like, you might have been telling my homie's story right next to me, but I still saw it. It was still vivid, and it was almost like I was watching a movie, you know what I'm saying? Like an audio version of this movie, because I'm seeing all of this shit. I'm seeing arms behind your back, face on the ground, and you know what I'm saying? Like all that shit, it just became so visual. Like, this shit dope, bro.
Yeah, it is. But we skipped over something. We even talked about when your kids were born. Talk about it in the context of like how you're coming up, and then this happens. Right? You were like unprotected sex.
That was part of it. Man. So my daughter was born in 2001, November 2001. I don't know if you remember 2001, the buildings came down. It was a very crazy time in New York City. My childhood sweetheart, my high school sweetheart, my late wife, Kimberly. We had been together for a while at that point, you know, even before our daughter was conceived. Dated off and on, high school shit. We had got to a point, I was 24. We had gotten to a point where we was like, listen, if we get pregnant, we gotta we're adults. We gotta do adult things. Like, we gotta own up to the choices that we made, right? And so although not a planned pregnancy, a very, very intentional that if we got pregnant, which obviously if you doing what you're doing, you know what I'm saying, there's a high probability that we were gonna keep the baby and we're gonna start a family and shit like that. And so my daughter changed my life because it wasn't just about me anymore. And even though I was still like getting my footing in the music business and I had some success and I had done some things, I wasn't in my mind at the level of success that I was aspiring for. And so I had to make a decision. Was I gonna give up all my hopes and dreams and just do the quote unquote right thing and be a dad? And because there was never an option of not being there. There was never the option of not being a provider. There was never the option of, well, fuck it, y'all just gonna have to eat fucking pork and beans and franks until I figure this shit out. It was like, nah, I gotta do my part, right? We probably still ended up eating pork and beans and franks, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I just knew like I had to make a decision because my life wasn't just me living for myself anymore. And so my daughter made me better because intensified my desire and drive. But what I did do was I stepped away from music for a long time. Mm-hmm. Stepped away from music for almost 4 years. Mm-hmm. Back to school, working 2 jobs, doing all the things I thought I needed to do to be a great dad. Not to harp on it, but after like those 3.5 years, I realized I couldn't be a great father if I wasn't great to myself, if I didn't fulfill the things that I knew I was capable of doing. And if I was just going through the motions because that's what I was supposed to do, I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do. Mm-hmm. And so once my daughter started pre-K and she was going to school every day, my late wife, she was my girlfriend at the time, she was working and I was working. I was like, nah, I'm getting back to it. So once my daughter was potty trained, I was like, yo, you gotta learn how to piss on this potty. She got potty trained, she started school, and I went back to it. And I said, I got from the time I drop her off to the time I pick her up to lock in on this music shit. And that's what I did, and that's what rekindled the flame. That never died. The flame didn't die. It was just, I thought that I needed to go get a regular job and be this other person because now I got a child, now I got somebody to provide for, so I can't be selfish. But not putting yourself first is the most selfish shit you could do. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Because like I'm unhappy, so I'm gonna be good to you. I'm gonna be a good father. I'm gonna be a good husband. I'm gonna be a good boyfriend. If I'm mad at the guy in the mirror, you know what I'm saying? Like all that shit is gonna permeate through everything I do. And so once I realized that, it was like full speed ahead with the music. I'm gonna figure this shit out, and I'm gonna deliver pizzas while I go to the studio. And it wasn't no fucking Uber Eats and all that shit, but I would have did that. But yeah, I worked at Domino's. I put music out. I remember I signed and Dug Down, and Marco and I put out the Double Barrel album, and fucking it's playing on the mix shows, and I'm in the car, and my whole fucking Ultima smell like fucking Domino's pizza, because I'm still delivering pizza while I'm trying to live out this dream. But it's like, I can't give up on that. But I also still got to make sure that the rent get paid. And, obviously I had a partner who was there for me and who contributed in a billion ways. You know what I'm saying? Like I wouldn't have been able to do anything I was able to do without my wife being who she is and the way she supported me. But yeah, I was like, I got to figure this shit out. I got to keep going. But I also got to do, it's not just a pipe dream. Like, all right, you want to put out records, that's great. But also you want to put food on the table. So like, you got to figure out how to do that shit simultaneously, and that's what I did.
But I hear self-awareness, I hear confidence, I hear discipline, I hear strength, I hear not a huge ego in the sense of a lot of people wouldn't do that. You know what I'm saying? Especially rappers, right? They not, and you was probably like, bro, my whole car's to McDonald's. I was working at Domino's.
Oh, definitely was.
You know what I'm saying?
But I was embarrassed, and I hid it. And I remember one time I delivered to a former classmate. You know what I'm saying? And that was a hard pill to swallow. You know what I'm saying? Like I go to fucking shit, my Domino's shit on. I'm not even paying attention. I look up, open the door, and she mad. Yo, Torae, how you been? I ain't see you forever. And I'm like, ma'am, take your pizza. I would like to go die now. You know what I'm saying? And so. But yeah, man, I understood that the short-term shit would be short-term. You know what I'm saying? Like, this ain't my life. I'm not doing this forever. I also understood, like, the risk of doing it a different way wasn't going to be worth the reward. So I just know how that shit go. And it has nothing to do with being scared or like not built for it. I think I was so real that it was like, yeah, I know how this is gonna end up if I get into this space. I got friends that do it. I know how. I saw this movie before, you know what I'm saying? So like, I'm gonna take the road less traveled, and I'm gonna do it the quote unquote legal or legit way. I'm gonna just do it in a way where I don't put myself and my family at risk, and I throw it all away trying to speed up the process.
Yeah, but that's a lot of self-awareness. That's what I'm saying. Like, where did that come from? That, like, what made you not take that choice?
I gotta shout out Carol. I gotta shout out my moms, man. You know, like, my mom had me young. My mom had me, she's 18. So we grew up together. She was learning a lot. And even through all the like the trials and tribulations that we went through and just like the bumps in the road, like the growing pains, I didn't realize until I got much older that my mom was just a woman, just a girl when she had me, you know what I'm saying, trying to figure this shit out, a human being, trying to figure this shit out too. And so it's like, oh, it changes like your perspective. But she instilled enough in me, and still to this day, like I say, my mom is my hero. I seen her overcome so much shit to the woman that she is today with multiple degrees and, you know, prestigious career. And, you know what I'm saying, she's like, she really, really like that. I know that lady from the projects, you know what I'm saying? And so I know that lady from we was eating chicken backs and shit like that. So so she showed me that you could do anything, but she definitely instilled enough in me that I knew I didn't want to disappoint her. She always say, she says to this day, Torae never made me cry in a bad way. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't want to disappoint her. I had friends that did things, you know, I had family members that did things, and it was like, it was right there for me. Even though the hustlers on my block wouldn't let me hustle. They all believed in me. They would kick me off the block. They'd be like, yo, you can't be out here with us. I'm like, what you mean? I'm from here. What you talking about? Nah, this shit is a little crazy right now. You got to go, because they all saw something in me. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, shout out to my brother Six and all the guys I looked up to, you know what I'm saying, that was getting to it. They all like put their arm around me and little bro me, and like, it was like, yeah, you know, we fuck with you. You good here, but you're just not good here. You know what I'm saying? Like, go over there. Go to the studio. Go do this and this and that. Even so much that they would invest in my career, you know, and put me in the studio and shit like that. So, but yeah, from my mom, to answer your question, my mom definitely planted those seeds.
How does that make you feel reflecting on that, though? Like, saying that out loud and, like, thinking about your peoples, you know what I'm saying?
It's real. Like, my OGs are still my OG. My childhood friends are still my childhood friends. My big homies that I grew up looking up to are still my big homies I look up to. I still can call on for real life advice. I didn't realize until I got much older and much further in life that everybody don't have that. Nah. And so it means that much more to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, my birthday was 2 weeks ago, and my man Life throws a dinner, right? And so it's like industry people, and it's like my day one people, my family. Everybody's my family. And I look around and like my childhood friends that I knew since I was 5, 6, 7 years old, that we still, 40 years later, they're still the same guys that was at my 20th party was at this party. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, wow, that's a super blessing. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And nobody ever changed. No matter what I do, no matter what they do, no matter what heights I reach, no matter where they go in their career, like, we still the same kids from the sand park, same kids that went to free lunch together. And so that's a super blessing too. But that keeps me grounded, you know what I'm saying? Like, cause they don't give a fuck about, oh, you was at the Grammys, that's cool, but yeah, but you're like, you fitted dirty. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not that my fit is ever dirty, but you know what I'm saying? Like, we still day one. You know what I'm saying? Like, none of this shit, they proud of me. None of this shit impressed them. You know what I'm saying? Like, you still tall. You know what I'm saying? Like, we remember we went to All-Star and you went to throw an alley-oop and you threw that shit over the backboard. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, to go back to why I didn't go into sports. So yeah, like, my guys keep me grounded. My day ones is my day ones.
Nah, that's dope, man. So that's family. Yeah, family. 100%. All right, so back to the music stuff. So you gonna duck down now, Marco Polo. Was there ever the aspiration to be fully, like we were talking about before, on a major label?
Oh, for sure. I didn't even know anything different for a really long time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember when the industry split and it went like mainstream and underground. Yeah. And you had like Raucous, and then you had like Bad Boy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I spent time at Bad Boy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I took my demo there. I got a call back. I met with Slick Love and Germ and all of those guys that J. Rue was dissing on one day. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was at the Only You remix video. You know, I met Big. I saw Keisha from Total. I was mesmerized. You know what I'm saying? Respectfully, oh my gosh. So yeah, like for the longest time, there was only one industry, right? And so I still wanted to be in that industry. And then this shifted. And then I discovered the underground later, and I walked into Fat Beats, and my life kind of changed in that regard. Because I was like, oh, this is where the new De La Soul album is at. Oh, who's this Talib Kweli guy? I heard of Mos Def, but oh, this is, you know what I'm saying? Like, once I discovered that, I was like, oh, okay, I can still do the shit that I love and was inspired, the sounds that I was inspired by still being created. When I didn't know that place existed, I was making bad boy records. I was making, you know, I was sampling fucking George Benson, Give Me the Night. You know what I'm saying? Like loops, Diana Ross loops. Because I was like, oh, well, this is where the music is going. This is, you know, I'm still trying to get to this place. So now I got to adhere to what's happening here. And then once I discovered like that underground scene and the independent scene, I was like, no, this is where I belong. This is home.
So you wasn't going with the shiny suits once you found out you could rock the fitted.
I could still keep it. The crazy shit about that part though is that some people like to associate independent music or like the indie scene as broke.
Nah.
And none of my favorite rappers never gave broke, bro. Nah. You know what I'm saying? Like EPMD drove Benzes, you know, Rakim was truck down, truck jewelry, Slick Rick was truck jewelry, you know, like all my guys was fly, even boot camp, like they was flying they Timbs and, you know what I'm saying, hoodies and like, so it never was like to be on no broke shit. So some people like look at when you amass a monetary success in the monetary form, that's like taboo or you're not supposed to do that. It's like, who the fuck don't want to be paid? Yeah. Like, you supposed to be great at what you do and undercompensated? That don't make sense in no other field. Like, the best doctors get paid the best money. The best lawyers get paid the best money. The best rappers should be paid highly. So, like, I don't shy away from the success that I've had and the things that I've been able to get. And it's just things at the end of the day. And once you get a lot of things, you realize it's just things that don't really mean shit. Family and health mean the most. But yeah, like I don't shower. Nigga, I got a big fucking chain. I got a big house, a nice watch. You know what I'm saying? Like shit like that. It don't mean nothing, but those levels of status that I once deemed necessary to like tell my story, I still like that shit. I still like you get fresh. I like to get fresh. You know what I'm saying? Like I got thousands of pairs of sneakers. So do you. You know what I'm saying?
I used to.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's part of my story. That's part of my design and my DNA. And it's part of the things that make me happy. You know what I'm saying? But it's not the ultimate goal like it once was, because I understand like it's just stuff and it could be here today and gone tomorrow. But at the same time, like, yeah, like I'm into it.
Yeah. But it doesn't make you.
Nah.
You know
Nah. This make me. Yeah. This make me. You know, like over the weekend I went to SUNY Fredonia and I hosted the Black Student Union had a talent show. And my man hit me, he was like, yo, we looking for somebody in Buffalo, da-da-da-da. And long story short, I was like, I'll do it. He was like, you'll do it? I was like, I'll do it. And just to be able to give, I hate the term give back, but just to be able to give my time and my talent, and have I hosted on BET, have I hosted Brooklyn Hip Hop Festival and concerts and performed in front of 50,000 people? Yes. And will I go into that university and stand in the auditorium on the stage for 100 people or 200 people? Yes. Yeah. Because that's what really matters. You know what I'm saying? Like, to get it all is to give it all away. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's where that shit is going. That mean more to me than whatever they could have paid me to do it somewhere else. Nah, like, I was a part or am a part of this story and these young people doing something amazing, and I get a chance to be, you know, bring my years of skill and expertise to it and help them along the way. Like, that's the biggest pay. That's the best reward.
And a lot of times those connections you make at those kind of things are much stronger. People, you could change people's lives at those joints. The big shows and all that is cool, but people don't remember that as much.
You know, I was super inspired. It was a fashion show, and I was so inspired by the quality of the clothing that these young people were making, either still in school or fresh out. I'm like, I always like admire when young people are far further ahead in their career than I was at their age. I'm like, yo, that's crazy. Like, when I was 21, 22, 23, I knew what I wanted to do, but I was not nowhere near where you are with it. Like, you got product, you know what I'm saying? Like, your shit is packaged, it look good. Like, I talked about being able to walk in the Hot 97 because I looked like it. I look at your product and I'm like, oh, this should be in the stores. Because it's quality, it's, you know what I'm saying? Like, you putting in, and I love that shit. Like, you 20 and you got like this tangible something dope that I would go buy. That's incredible to me.
Yeah. I mean, you've done a lot now, right? Going from rapper to host of many different things. How did that transition come along? Because I mean, you obviously you said, you MC'd for Marco Polo and then Master Ace, but how did that really transition into you ended up on the radio or podcasting or?
DJ Eclipse.
Really?
DJ Eclipse. So if you go back in the story, when I talk about being on the radio at NYU and all that, when I walked into Fat Beats and it changed my life, I met a gentleman by the name of DJ Eclipse who ran the store and who ran WNYU. And after I maxed out my credit card on vinyl, some years later, my group, the Coalescence that I mentioned earlier, we had a single on Aviate. And I walked in there and I was like, yo, will you take this on consignment? You know what I'm saying? Will you play this? Will you take this on consignment? And Eclipse took the record and played the record. And PD Cologne and Skiz and Tim C and Susio Smash and all those guys played the record. And rest in peace to Pumpkinhead. He booked Coalescence for our first show. All of those guys really embraced us in that independent underground scene. And so by the time Eclipse was on Sirius with Rappers Out of Control, Destroy, who has an amazing show on Sirius now, Destroy was his first host. But Destroy was doing Destroy shit. And so he didn't last as his host for very long. And so Eclipse hits me and he's like, yo, Torae, I think you would be a great co-host on my show. And if you know E's not really that talkative like many DJs. And so Eclipse is like, yeah, I want you to co-host. And I'm like, no. But it's also E, and I can't tell him no, even though I want to tell him no. I'm like, fuck out of here. But it's E, he has done so much for me. You know, I got a chance to go tear down the WNYU multiple times and play the record and put on consignment and let us do in-stores and Fat Beats and all of this shit. And so you can't tell him no, that's my brother at this point. And what I thought was just gonna be like me kind of helping him along until he found somebody, it turned into like me doing his show for 4 years. Yeah. Doing his show for 4 years, I learned a lot of the ins and outs of radio, and I saw that there was a career for me in it. You know what I'm saying? Something that I hadn't put on my own vision board, or something I hadn't looked at as a path for me, was something that was very, very real. And I spoke to the program directors. You know, like I said, I had did E show for like 4 years, so they were super familiar with me. And it was so fucking simple. I hate to say it, like, because it was so easy. I was like, yeah, I think I should get a show. And it was like, we think so too. And then I just literally started ear checking and voice tracking and demoing. And my show started shortly thereafter. I was doing mornings, Sunday morning, 1 day a week. I was doing Sunday mornings. I did that for about 3 months, if I'm not mistaken. And then DJ Ski, who was the midday, or rather evening drive, he was doing like, I forget what the time slot was, maybe like 6 to midnight or some shit like that. He left to do Dash Radio. And so they needed a host for that slot, and they put me in that slot interim. And I had my show 12 years. That's my interim 12 years.
I never thought that was gonna be the path for you.
Nah. Once I got in it, and it was two things. I was always strategically thinking. So I looked at SiriusXM, especially me as an independent artist. I was like, there's a ton of people that come through this building. So those are relationships that I could build. But I can't do it Sunday nights from 10 to midnight on the underground rap show. I got to be here prime time. So I looked at it as my manager. I was like, this is going to be my manager. You're going to introduce me to people. And I said, and you're going to be my label. Because even if my song is not on the radio every day, my voice is going to be on the radio every day. So you're going to put me on the radio as my label, and you're going to manage me. Because when I have these people on my show, we're going to build a relationship. We're going to build a rapport. Or at least there's an opportunity to do it. And so that's kind of how I looked at it. I just looked at me being able to kind of squeeze the juice out of what SiriusXM could offer an artist. Yeah. Still not looking at myself as a media personality or a talent, but anything I do, I'm going to invest the time into it. So even if I went into it with my own thoughts and needs, I eventually understood the position I was in and was like, nah, I I can't disrespect this craft. So I sat and I talked to Sway, and I sat and I talked to this one, I sat and I talked to that one, and I watched a bunch of interviews, and I listened to, I grew up listening to Angie and Flex and all that, and I just was like, Greg Street and just so many like people who I respect in that space, and knowing Bonsu and knowing all my great journalist friends, and watching Elliot and what he was doing, and knowing Reggie and seeing what he was doing. It helped me develop who I was as a personality and as a talent and as a host. And so like I had to put those 10,000 hours in too, but I respect the craft enough to do it. And I think I do it at a high level now.
Nah, for sure. I mean, I would have thought that was your career choice. You know what I'm saying? Like if you listen to you on the radio, well, you take it serious.
I'll tell you what I was going to do. I was going to make a demo. I was going to go to Def Jam. I was going to meet Pete Rock and DJ Premier. They was going to produce my Def Jam album. I was going to go platinum. I was going to get a second album, and then from there, I was going to go into TV and film. That was my plan. I did a lot of it.
But maybe not in that exact,
not the way I thought. But yeah, I took the scenic route. But I think I checked it off, with the exception of signing Def Jam, but maybe.
Oh, you still?
Yo, for nothing
Riggs?
Right, Riggs, what up? For nothing more than just to say I did it, right? Nah, but that part doesn't matter anymore, like in the story. But yeah, like that was my plan. It was like, get on, because all my favorites, that's what they did. They made records. LL made records when the television film. Latifah, Q, Pac, even Kid and Play. You know what I'm saying? Like I loved all of that shit. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get a sitcom, and you know what I'm saying? Like shit like that.
Yeah. But I mean, again, I appreciate the awareness and being humble enough to make those transitions. Like not everybody could do that. And that to me is what it's important to talk about when you see these life trajectories, right? Because people see who you are right now. A lot of people might only know you from being on the radio, right? It might only know you from being on Rock the Bells. You bring up LL, now you're with Rock the Bells. So how did that transition to get with him even happen?
That part of it, that part was like, nah, like y'all playing. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I had been on Hip Hop Nation for, I think at that point, 8 or 9 years. And one day I looked up and I was like, oh shit, like I'm a radio personality. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so I went to SiriusXM, and at that point I had kind of just been doing it, but I wasn't maximizing who I was in that space. And so I went to them and I was like, I think we should talk, like, let's have a real conversation. Like, we go together. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's have a real conversation now. Right? Yeah, like, we go together real bad. And they was like, no, we get it. We totally get it. We value you. Here's what we can do for you, and here's what we would like to have in return. And so what that became was, we want you to be here, and we want you to really be a part of this brand. And Todd really likes you, and he's building out Rock the Bells Radio, and we think it would make sense for you to work over there on Rock the Bells too. I was like, wait, what, LL? Like, because at that point we had met in passing, I saw him, and obviously he's LL, so I'm a fucking super fan and shit. He had been on my show a couple of times, so we had a rapport with one another. But when they were like, Todd really likes what you do, and he wants you to have you on Rock the Bells, I was like, oh, this shit is like for real. And I'm like, oh, that's me signing the Def Jam, right? Like, this is, who doesn't get the opportunity to work with LL in any capacity? And, Rock the Bells Radio is just one part of it. And, to be able to host on the cruise, and to be able to do the hip hop as it happens for the social, and just like all of the, being ingrained in all the different parts of the Rock the Bells brand. I talk to L all the time, like text, you know what I'm saying? Like, shit is crazy to me. So, but yeah, like I jumped at that opportunity, and that's how that came to be.
But that is being signed to Def Jam.
But yeah, he is Def Jam, right? And even when he's doing the Force, and he's doing like these intimate listens. He has me come out, and I think I hosted in Texas, like the intimate listen session, and we talking. So now like he's on this promo run, and I've been around him. Also, I was on the tour. I went out to a bunch of different stops on the tour. So every time we backstage and we talking and we building, and then I have this like tragic moment where I lose my wife last year, and he's aware of that, and a lot of support from Rock the Bells in that regard. And then he's talking to me about the music that I make post my life changing, and he's just dropping wild jewels, and he's giving me all it. So now he's telling me like what to do as I go in the studio and make my next record. And it's like, oh shit, this is like the GOAT. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? So now, yeah, it is like signing a Def Jam, right? I'm with Rock the Bells. I got the Rock the Bells varsity. You know what I mean? I'm on the website, right? But also LL was like, yo, I think you should do this. and yo, you should play it like this, and I think you should come from this place. And now he's teaching me, giving me tutelage in my song making, and so shit's crazy.
You give me the chills because it's like it's almost everything you asked for, but not the exact way you saw it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's God's plan.
But that takes awareness, that takes confidence, that takes you to be able to just let go and trust, right?
I do say when I like speak to young people or people ask me advice, I tell them to always take the meeting is my phrase. And always take the meeting to me just means be open to some other shit. Like don't just have your blinders on where you can't see what's happening to the left or to the right of you. Because I had my blinders on when Eclipse asked me to do the show. I was like, well, I'm a rapper. Like at this point, I'm toured, I've sold records, I had a deal. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, why would I do radio? Like this is before everybody was kind of dabbling in that space too, right? But because it's E, I couldn't say no. So that's like, oh, just take the meeting, see what they got to say. You know what I'm saying? Always take the meeting. So I tell people like, be focused on what you want to do and have a path to how you think you should get there. But don't be so lasered in that you don't see the opportunity to the left or the right that's still on this path that's still going to help you get there, even if it wasn't the way that you thought it was going to go. Always take the meeting.
Resistance will kill you. Resistance will keep you locked in, isolated, set to the side, forgotten about, all of that.
Yeah, and you do it to yourself.
Yeah.
You do it to yourself. Like, if you don't grow, if you stay stagnant, you don't grow, you know what I'm saying, you die. So like always be willing to grow and learn and evolve and try it a different way. You know what I'm saying? Like this was not the route that I thought I would take, but ultimately I'm exactly where I needed to be, where I wanted to be.
Yeah, and killing it, right? And doing a great job.
Thank you, sir.
And it's like
I'm here with Hawaii Mike. I got to be doing something right.
I mean, hey, appreciate that. I appreciate you taking the time. And it's just life is so interesting, bro, because we could go on so many different paths and so many different places, or also be down on ourselves and judge us, right? You could have been at that rapper point and been like, a host, I'm a rapper. Like I would never ever do that, and look at all the blessings, right?
Sure.
You know, president of the New York Grammy chapter now, right? Who would ever thought that?
Definitely not me, because I'm a super hood. Coney Island, rapidy rapper, you know what I'm saying? And you look at the Grammys or the Recording Academy as this like really shiny, prestigious, not only trophy, but place, institution, right? So like I was the kid that, you know what I'm saying, came from the pissy elevators, raised in the ranks in that space, you know what I'm saying? But it's music, you know, it's music and it's care and it's understanding how to navigate through all of the things. What was I gonna say? I had a point that I wanted to make. Always take the meeting, and also it'll come back to me.
Was that one of those things though? Where it's
like
always...
yes, using all the tools in your toolbox, right? So for me, like humbly speaking, am I a skilled rapper? Yes, but can I conduct a conversation? Sure. Am I afraid to talk in front of hundreds of people, 1,000 people? No. Do I have a good relationship with the camera? You see it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like use all the tools in your toolbox to build your house.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so me developing all of these different skills along the way, out of necessity, might I add, I only did the shit I needed to do because there was no manager, there was no team, there was no label, there was no budget, not in the real, like in a real way. So I had to learn how to figure it out, and I had to learn how to compensate for this and this and that. And so me learning how to do all these things really equipped me to be able to pivot as much as I needed to. And so, you know, that kind of lends itself to me going into the Recording Academy. When I dropped the Entitled album, I wanted to chart on Billboard, and I wanted to know how to get nominated for a Grammy. So again, it was like a self-serving thing, right? I go, shout out to DJ Reg West, shout out to Mac Wiles. I think Mac Wiles was nominated for a Grammy the year before that. Mac and I had a relationship from working on the Breaks TV show and movie. And so I reached out to Mac, I reached out to Reg, and I was like, yo, ask him what he did to get nominated. Long story short, Reg connects me with somebody at the Recording Academy. I meet Yasmin, I meet Nick, we hit it off. This is right around the time where the Recording Academy is fully understanding that they have a piss poor relationship with hip hop. And here comes this New York City rap guy that wants to know more about the Grammys. And they were so willing to listen and learn and hear the concerns and hear the gripes. And obviously Riggs was there at the time too. And so, you know, me and Riggs connecting and him becoming my mentor in that space, and the Recording Academy being really open to what the community was saying, it was like a perfect storm and perfect timing to governor, board member governor, to vice president for 2 terms, to president for a 2-year term. And now I'm actually a national trustee. So now I'm a trustee. So it's like Harvey, who's the CEO, and then our board of trustees is right after that.
And saying that as well, right?
Shit is crazy.
Like when you look at what the Grammys are and what they mean in the recording music, like it's nuts, right? Guy from Coney Island.
super Coney Island, you heard?
And then last thing we'll talk about is how the acting stuff. Like I know you said you wanted to do that, but how did you actually make your first jump into that?
The first real thing I did was, so relationships are key. That's another like thread through line. Relationships are key. And we didn't talk about like my time working with Knife Wonder and the Justice League and all that, but like big part of my success in music was working with Knife and Little Brother and Crisis and Sean Don and the whole like North Carolina crew. But just to move the story along, Fonte Coleman of Little Brother, Foreign Exchange, brilliant MC, songwriter, brilliant mind, was working on a movie for VH1 called The Breaks. He was writing the rhymes. Shout out to Seif Man, shout out to Dan Charnas. So Seif and Dan is based off Dan's book, The Big Payback. Seif is directing the movie of it. And Fonte calls me. It was so random. I happened to be hanging out with my homie, whose birthday is today, so I got to make sure I call her. Happened to be hanging out with my homie one night. She was in New York, and normally I'd have been home, like in bed, my wife or whatever. But I'm hanging out with my homegirl, and it's probably like 1 o'clock, nothing nefarious, but it's probably like 1 a.m., right? And Fonte calls me, and I'm like, why is Tay calling me at 1 a.m.? So I'm like, this is weird. What's up? And he's like, yo, I got something. I don't know if you're interested in it. He's like, I'm working on this TV show. I'm writing the rhymes. They're trying to cast this character, and they having a hard time casting the character. I think it's you. I was like, all right, tell me more. He was like, there's an audition tomorrow, like 1 p.m. Can you be there? And I was like, send me the information. So I get the casting, I go there. I don't even have 24 hours to like put myself together. But you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. I know it's what I want to do. I'm playing a fucking tough rapper. So how hard can that really be, right? So I go in there, long story short, I nail the audition. I get cast in The Breaks. From there, I get a chance to build my relationship with Seif and Dan and the whole cast of The Breaks. That movie is what they call a backdoor pilot, right? And so it's open-ended so that the story doesn't get closed and you want more. It picks up for the first season. It moves from VH1 to BET. I work on the first season with Tiana Taylor as her lyric coach, and it's just dope, just being in that whole experience of like really understanding what it takes to make a TV show, the hours that it takes to shoot. And then from there, it was like, I always wanted to do it. That was kind of like the catalyst to really, really get me in. I started taking acting classes. I started doing improv. I started doing a bunch of shit. Remember SiriusXM is my manager and label, right? So one of the relationships that I was able to build in that space was with my brother, Irv Gotti. Rest in peace to the great Irv Gotti. Irv and I hit it off. We super cool. It was so crazy when I met Irv. I actually met Irv when I was hosting for BET, funny enough. Irv is doing promo for Tales. I'm hosting BET's radio room for the 2019 BET Awards. They introduced, yo, you're gonna sit with Torae. Like, Torae? He's like, oh, it's a Torae I listen to all the time on SiriusXM. I'm like, that's me. He like, nah, the tour guide? I'm like, yeah. He like, yo, I travel all across the nation, and the only shit I listen to is Hip Hop Nation because it never changes, no matter what city or state I'm in. Big fan, right? I'm like, I'm a big fan too. I was like, I tried to give it to you years ago. We got mad mutuals from Coney Island. He used to spend mad time at Coney Island. So I go from just a guy he used to hear on the radio to, oh, nah, you like Lil Bro. Exchange information, we talking all the time. I get an audition for Tales. I have an agent at this point. I get an audition for Tales. I shoot my shit, and I'm kind of just like waiting on the casting director to get back. So I just text Irv. I'm like, yo, Irv, I audition. He like, you audition? Why you audition? I'm like, cause that's how you're supposed to get it. He like, man. So he calls, and he was like, yo, you was in the last 2 of consideration. He was like, but it's yours. You know what I'm saying? And so that's how I ended up on Tales and worked with Irv for a bunch of stuff. He helped me a lot. He helped me a lot, man. That's a big loss. But yeah, so like from that, man, it's just like I always wanted to do television and film, but those were like the things that really like catapulted me into that space. And then I did a bunch of shit that was on. Shout out to Amber Ravenel, my sister. Shout out to Monica Dollface. They put me in my first holiday movie. Okay. Shout out to Bomb, who was a part of that as well. Yeah, put me in like a couple holiday movies. So we shoot some shit.
Yeah. But the acting classes came after starting.
The acting classes, again, this is dedication to the craft. Yeah. It's like, can I get some, can I book some shit off the merit of who I am and that I come with a following? Yes, but do you care enough about the craft and for these people who've been acting their whole life and been in theater? And I still don't think you're a fucking actor until you really do theater. You know what I'm saying? I heard.
Oh, so you try to get to Broadway? You trying to do stage?
I think that's where you really develop your chops. Okay. Because there's no cut. It's no reset. It's no shoot it again. It's you and the people. It's right there and it's right in that moment. I saw a clip just the other day, maybe like 2 days ago. Denzel said, I'm paraphrasing. Yep. He was like, movies is a director's medium, and stage is an actor's medium, because the filmmaker takes everything that you shoot and they put that together and they tell that story. So that's their medium. But the stage is where the actors do their thing. That's where you shine, because it's no none of that. It's just you and get to it and tell a story and convince those people and make these people feel something. And so like I think that's where you really official, my opinion, is when you do theater.
Nah, it's funny you say that. I was going for a different Denzel one, because he just said, I'm not a movie actor that's on the stage. I'm a stage actor that plays in movies.
It might have been in that same.
No, I think it is. But I'm just saying, I thought you were going to take that part from it. But it's that whole sentiment, right? Because, there's nothing like that, right? There is no, like you said, cut, let me do this line over. You just got to keep going. And that takes a certain, like, level of discipline and just, like, being honed in on your craft. Because a lot of people just lose it. Yeah. Right? It's like rapping. You see rappers, they'll punch me in. Right. Nah, bro, you got to keep going.
But I think the I won't call it an advantage because I still have yet to do it. But I think where it helps prepare me for that is being on stage. Like, nobody know you fucked up until you make it known that you fucked up. You forget a lyric, freestyle, say it. Yo, cut that off. Yo, my bad. Once you do that, you lost me. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You fuck up a line, you fuck up a bar, you fuck up a whatever. Nobody knows until you let them know. So you just got to keep going. You got to be prepared enough to know that even if you stumble, you got to keep going. You know what I'm saying? And so that's where I'd imagine how it goes on stage too. You might miss a line, you might miss a cue. Your scene partner might know, but the audience don't know until you make it known. And so that's why you got to keep going. It's also like freestyling. Like you freestyling, you got to come up with some shit. You got to be 2 thoughts ahead of what you're saying. Because now you setting up your punchline. First, you got to have your punchline, and you got to set it up. So you got to be 2 thoughts of whatever the fuck you want to get to that's not even coming out your mouth right now. You know what I'm saying? Pause. And so, yeah, all of that shit has been preparation.
I mean, but I feel like that's what you do in life. You're playing chess. You ain't playing checkers.
This is chess, not checkers, so I'm checking for the throne.
Yeah. You know
I might have said that on a verse somewhere.
But again, that's why that came to me. Is like it feels like you're playing chess in life, right? Where a lot of people are just trying to play checkers. They're just trying to jump over here, jump over there, get over here, right? Might hop backwards a couple of times. But nah, you're thinking a few steps ahead. And then, like you said, you open to whatever the next person is doing against you, your opponent. And that opponent is life. You know what I'm saying?
When I have these, thank you. I don't know if we're done, but I just want to thank you right now. Because when I have these conversations and I get a chance to tell my story and reflect on my journey, I just like become overwhelmed with how blessed I am, bro. This shit is like the most beautiful shit in the world.
But like I said, it's a blessing, and I hope the lessons that people take from this conversation is to be open enough. Take those meetings.
Like always take the meeting.
Right? Always take the meeting. Be aware, be consistent, be disciplined, and stay grounded. Well, how do you stay grounded?
Why?
No, how?
Oh, how do I stay grounded? Everything I mentioned, my mom, my foundation, my friends, my kids. You know, you're never cool to your kids, no matter what you do, right? They keep you humble, right? So, like, and I didn't mention my son.
That's what I was about to say.
Yeah, my 17-year-old son, Nick. He's like this. He's like Torae 2.0, which is like the greatest and worst shit ever. My kids keep me grounded. My faith, losing my wife last year brought me back into church, which I had been away from for a while. But, my faith keeps me grounded. And just me, man. I guess it's all part of my DNA of who I am. I never get too high or too low on any of this shit. You stay even keel. Because if you live for the applause, you'll die from the booze. So you stay even keel. And you keep real people around you. You know what I'm saying? Like, and Don't ever get too caught up on any of this shit, because it's just, like I said earlier in the conversation, it's just stuff.
Yep.
It's just stuff. It's like, yo, I remember when I wanted the house. I got the house and I lived in the house and I loved that. And I was like, it's cool. It's my house. You know, pay for it. Yo, I need the Benz. I got the Benz. I'm riding around, the music loud, the windows down. I'm getting armor roll every fucking 2 hours. Yo, my tires, armor roll my tires. It's just stuff.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? It's just, what matters, am I healthy? You know what I'm saying? Mentally, how I feel. Spiritually, am I grounded? Am I eating right? Am I taking care of myself? You put a bunch of shit on your body. What you putting inside your body? Pause. You know what I'm saying? Like all of that stuff, that's what really matters. Especially as we were talking off camera about how many people we losing at a young age from preventable shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, just because we not prioritizing what the main priority is, and that's our health. Like I said, like, I was trying to make my family happy. I was trying to make my new daughter happy. I was trying to make my girlfriend happy. I wasn't making myself happy. I wasn't taking him out. You got to take care of this part first, and then everything else is going to blossom from it. You know what I'm saying? And so you can put a bunch of designer shit on and have $1 million belt and all the biggest chains in the world. You fucking smoking and drinking. There's no judgment. But if you're just doing things that's not, you know, things that are detrimental to you having good health, then it don't matter what you put on the outside. It's not going to last very long.
Yeah. And a lot of the unhealthiness is mental. You know what I'm saying? A lot of it is what we're feeding ourselves. That food we're feeding ourselves mentally isn't good.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? And then we don't take care of ourselves diet-wise, and then we don't take care of ourselves physically, mentally, all that. So
it's all of it. It's all of it. Mind, body, and soul. And your diet is not just what you eat. Exactly. You know, I know that's like a cliche saying now, but I realized that early on. It's like, you were talking about, you know, again, off camera, seeing people die on social media. I don't click none of that shit. I don't watch it. I don't watch it. I don't ever want to get to a place where death, I'm numb to it, to seeing somebody's life taken senselessly. You know what I'm saying? Like, that shit don't resonate with me. It's not what I want to be a part of my world ecosystem. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Right. We'll still stay healthy mentally, and like you said, if you live for the applause, you'll die for the booze?
Yeah, if you live for the applause, you'll die from the booze.
Appreciate you, bro. Thank you for sharing the story. 100%, man. Get it.
We out.